Hello and welcome to Indie Comic Ninja, Indie Tuesdays. I'm your host, Ben Dupé.
Dexter Jacobs.
Ramondo Burnside.
And Andrew Southern.
And we are your independent comic book ninjas. How's everyone doing this week?
Awesome.
Good.
Fantastic.
It was a nice, fast week for me.
Yeah.
The weather finally broke, man. It's beautiful outside.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah.
Oh.
I know. I'd rather be out skateboarding or riding a bike right now or something like that, but I'm going to do that after the show
Yeah.
because it's just
Dude,
like,
you're going to have to teach me to skateboard, by the way. I've
It's
never
fun. Yeah.
done it, and I wanted to learn.
I tried it when I turned 20-ish,
Yeah.
and I couldn't. I kept falling off. I couldn't do it. I can inline skate fine. I can grind like a rail or two.
Yeah.
Like, not great, but like
do
I'm
that.
okay at it. But like skateboarding, nope.
I need to get with
My
you on
body
that.
just refuses.
I used to skateboard all the time, man.
Nice.
I
For
got a
real?
board at home, but it needs new trucks and everything on it.
Oh, yeah.
I got trucks too if you want some.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much not a linear sort of thing where it's like you do this and this and this. It's
Yeah.
like you skate and you fall and
All the
break,
time.
and you break shit.
A lot of falling.
Or like I remember I went to the skate park in Urbandale, I think, to do some inline stuff with my brother, and there's this kid. He couldn't have been taller than 3 feet, and he just goes straight up to like the quarter pipe and just drops as soon as he got there. No warm up.
Yep.
Stupid little kid.
Yeah.
Just doing awesome.
I know, man.
It's
Yeah.
like the kids I see
No
snowboarding,
fear.
and they're
Yeah.
just like doing backflips, and they're
Oh.
like 3 years old. And I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, you go to the skate park. It's definitely like a younger man's game, but I just do it for fun and extra
Oh, for
because I'd
sure.
rather be doing that
yeah.
than lifting weights or something.
Yeah,
'cause I'm
yeah.
just more into it.
Well,
So
then there's dogs that can skateboard. Just make me feel bad about
Right,
myself.
yeah.
Like the little bulldogs.
Yeah.
So here at Indie Comic Ninja on Indie Tuesdays, we are a spoiler podcast, semi-spoiler podcast. The point of this podcast is just to sort of promote new independent comic book artists. So we don't really want to fully spoil their stories, but we do have to go into talking about them a little bit. So if we start talking about something you like and you don't want to have anything spoiled, just hit that pause button, head over to your comic shop, buy that comic book, pay good money for it, read it, and come back and listen to us talk about it, because that's definitely the way I would do it if I were a listener. I'd read the comic first, then listen to people talk about it. So that's always fun. And if you head over to indiecomic.ninja, you want a little more stuff about the comic book, we also write reviews about the comic books. So we're going to be putting some reviews up forthcoming, and there's some more news on review sites coming up, but that's nothing set in stone yet. So that being said, we are going to start doing a news segment on Indie Comic Ninja, just not even necessarily indie comic related news, but just comic book news in general. There is one thing that I wanted to bring up, just sort of rub it in everyone's face, is DC passed Marvel for units sold for the month of March. So all you Marvel fans out there,
Honestly, it was
DC's
coming.
better.
I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner.
yeah, I am too.
Just because
really am.
I feel like
But
Marvel's
does sales
really...
prove story, or is it just marketing? Because
well, from what I understand, because
I'm going to defend Marvel on this one.
Yeah, well, it was with DC Rebirth actually specifically. Because I heard that it was selling really well when they first started,
Yep.
and I was talking to a comic book, a shop owner, not one that anyone here would know. Because he's not local. Anyway, so I was asking him about it, and he said that like basically what DC was doing was they were doing like some sort of guarantee where basically you could sell the books back, which is common, I think, but like they were kind of backing it up even stronger than normal, and so basically they got a bunch of shops to buy tons of extra of it, and then so that inflated their numbers, and then they would have to, and then they ended up returning things or something like that, or I don't know, like I don't know exactly how it worked out, but it was something where they kind of fudged it to inflate their numbers.
No, I will say
But that was a while ago. Like, yeah.
DC Universe Rebirth #1, when they kicked that off,
Yeah.
it was like 30-some weeks ago.
Yeah.
They said, if you don't like this first issue,
That was the writer
you
who
can
said
have
that.
your money back.
That was specifically
That's
the
Jeff
writer.
Johns.
Yeah, it wasn't even DC. Jeff Johns said
So
he would
they-
write you a check, a personal check.
Yeah, so a lot of well, you can return it though and get your money back.
Well, the
And-
shops can, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So yeah, a lot of shops bought a lot of those initial books to
Yeah.
and that inflated their numbers like 36 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But right now, I think like DC just has stronger numbers because their stories are better, and they're.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, for sure.
I've tried reading some Marvel stuff, and they do have some good stories, like Deadpool. I'll always sit down and read a Deadpool comic, but like, I mean, as a whole, they don't really like. And it sucks because I really want like a strong like jumping on point for Marvel, but and DC had that Rebirth thing where it was like jumping on.
They had the Marvel Now recently,
and I didn't like how they did that because
no.
they had all these Marvel Now launches where it was like Doctor Strange Marvel Now #1, but it was still like Doctor Strange number 17.
Yeah,
so it's like you had to have read those previous 17 issues to.
That's what I need as well. I need a good jumping on point for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you feel like you're just drowning in a deep pool. You know what I mean? It feels nice, but I want to live.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
dying over here.
Well, and it shouldn't be work for it's escapism. You should if I buy something and I have to work for it that much, then I'm just not gonna.
And
get into it.
I know some of the other podcasts that I listen to, that's a common complaint of like even just the artists themselves whenever they're talking about the comics that they like, whenever they reminisce about comics when they were kids, like you could pick up any issue and still enjoy it, whereas now it's just like it's this deep story that you need to have been reading.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and that's always kind of a case with Marvel and DC. It's just how they handle that.
And I think that's what got me into indie initially anyway, is like no indie run unless you like really get into some, some Image books and some whatever else. But like if you go to a con and you're buying local or, a small press thing, like, there's usually a good jumping on point or... you're standing at their table, you can get all their books right.
Yeah, it's like a self-contained thing, right?
Yeah. It's nice.
Now, are they typically like, as far as comparing indie to like Marvel or DC, would you consider the indie books to be like a lot shorter running as far as their overall series on average? Would you say
they don't have that history, right? So
and it depends on what you're talking about indie, because like we consider Image indie, but then you have things like Walking Dead, and those have been going on forever. Whereas like a lot of like the small press, like the people that you're going to find hawking their books at a con, they tend to be shorter. Just because like I think the everyday small press writer they haven't had the time, or they don't have that long of a story in them, kind of thing. Maybe
that's what it feels like when I've been noticing it more. Now that I've been getting into it, it seems like those are a little bit shorter and smaller bites that you can like. Okay, I don't feel so overwhelmed getting into this. Yeah, there's only 4 other ones I need to read. Right, with a DC book maybe or a Marvel, there's like 17 that I need to go back to or something like that.
Well, 5 volumes.
And that being said, too, like I know people who are specifically trying to get into Marvel and DC. What they're doing is writing smaller runs because they're kind of just trying to get things out there.
Me personally, I like that better, just because I'm still kind of relatively getting back into comic books for the most part. From years ago. So
I think it's just DC is one long running story where it's been going on since literally the 40s, and there are things from the Golden Age that still are part of canon. Whereas it's like if you want to, even a long one, like if you want to read Spawn, like you can, even though there's 200 some issues, you can go back to Spawn #1 and start from there and go forward. So with DC and Marvel, it's a lot harder because there's literally decades worth of books, and there's
do I start in the 50s? Like,
and no one's ever going to read all of them. So handling that is kind of difficult. Like you have to handle it in the right way, and I think DC has done a really good job of like, we've condensed it down to these base books, and we're going to kind of give you the history that matters, and just don't worry about everything else. So
they did a good job with Rebirth, I feel like.
Yeah, I do too. That's awesome. So moving on with news, I have one other piece of news, and then we got some. I know Dex and Andrew both have some. So news: Youngblood is back. 25 years after its debut, Rob Liefeld's Baby is coming back to hit store
shelves. He's doing it, right?
Yep, courtesy of Chad Bowers and Jim Lowe.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so that's exciting, and I never really read Youngblood, so I don't know much about it, but
I don't either.
Yeah, it's if you're into that sort of thing, it's definitely. I'm not the biggest Rob Liefeld fan either. I mean, I think like he's very necessary in the world of comics, but he's just, his work isn't really up my alley.
He's hit and miss. I feel like. I am going to always be appreciative of him because my favorite Marvel character is Cable. And everyone, I feel like, has to be, thankful because he brought Deadpool. Granted, the initial version of Deadpool is not the one we know today, but he started it.
I mean, there are people like who I've seen post videos that are like, "This is why Rob Liefeld is a piece of shit," and all his fans, and all his fans are terrible. And I think like. I think saying something like that is kind of an asshole thing to say.
That's making you a piece of shit.
Because it's like, first of all, like, he's drawing comics better than you could draw comics. So
he was doing it when he was 18.
Shit. Yeah, and secondly, like, his work he was one of the founders of Image Comics. So I mean, like, even if you don't personally care for his stuff, it was important.
Appreciate it, right?
Yeah, it's part of history. You know, like it's like. I don't like Mozart, but like, you know, I definitely appreciate the fact that he caused music to progress.
So you wrote Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
That kind of stuff drives me crazy just throughout all kinds of media and whatnot. Let's put like you know, movies or video games or music. There's always somebody who's like, what do you call them? Like a super fan of something that they can't appreciate other shit. And it's like, come on, man. Even if you don't like Xbox, you can still, you know, appreciate what the games they put out. Or if you don't like, you know, Biggie and Tupac, you know, come on. I mean,
like they matter they change the game for hip hop.
If you don't like a certain artist, it's like, come on, you can still respect the game at least.
Yeah, exactly.
I've hated Kobe for years, but for years he torched my team and the Bulls. You know what I mean, and other teams. But I respect Kobe though. I hate him, but I respect him.
You have to get me into basketball. Everyone at my new job watches basketball, and I want to get into it.
Playoffs,
a little bit,
man. We'll have to.
Oh yeah,
I'm down. I'm definitely a Bulls fan. So
there you go. We can definitely watch some games then.
Yeah.
Are the Bulls still around?
Yes, they are.
They're like fighting for last place in the playoffs.
I remember the '90s, like they were always number one.
Yeah, well,
and I remember as a kid just thinking, like, come on, guys, just calm down. Let somebody else win.
Man, that's why.
Let somebody else. Come on, son.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry, I had to.
I love it. I love it.
All right, Dex, you got some news for us?
Yeah, I got two things. One's a bit of a downer for Marvel, I suppose, and maybe it's kind of something to help boost their numbers, I guess, because it made me want to go out and buy an issue. But the whole X-Men Gold artist controversy. So I don't know. I don't want to get into it too much. I think I just kind of wanted to bring it up, but I was trying to see if I could just read something really quick. So basically, X-Men Gold artist Ardian Syaf has addressed the controversy surrounding the religious and political references he inserted into the debut issue of the Marvel Comics series, insisting, "I don't hate Christian or Jew." It's a good place to start. So basically, what he did was he inserted just these random
they're like numbers
just things into the background, and like one of the things was like there's a jewelry store in the background, but then Kitty Pryde, who's Jewish, is covering up half the sign, so it just says Jew next to her head.
Oh wow!
And like
and some Quran verses essentially.
The numbers correspond with Quran verses, and like
so they're just sneaking. He just like kind of doing some sneak attacks
but
here?
I mean, he just snuck these numbers in basically, and they reference like verses that are anti-Christian, anti-Jew.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I don't see how Marvel could have caught it, and I think, and that's kind of what I wanted to bring up about it. Yeah. Not so much the religious aspect of it, because whatever. But
well, none of us hate anyone.
Well, I mean, and if anything, I want to point out that like even Muslims, you're going to there's radical quote unquote ones, and there's ones that I'm friends with who are the nicest people I've ever met.
And that's Westboro Baptist Church versus
exactly.
Like,
that's the other thing. Yeah,
that's any group, man.
But and then just the fact that Marvel has a Muslim writer, G. Willow Wilson, writing a book about a Muslim superhero, Miss Marvel. So like Muslim clearly is fine.
Yeah.
But just it's interesting too. I mean, that it slipped through, but honestly, like those numbers are just so benign if you don't know what they mean.
Well, it's like, but and the thing is, things like that have slipped into art all over the place. You know, like if
Disney movies.
Well, Disney movies for sure, but even like a lot of the like classical artists who were commissioned for churches or things like that, like slipped in like basically anti-Christian messages because they're pissed that they had to like do this work.
Well, like especially classical artists like Michelangelo, etc. Like they had to work for the church because they were the only people with enough money to pay them.
Right?
Yeah, which is funny to an extent.
But I'm not necessarily agreeing with that. I'm just saying. It's hard to catch that even if you're looking for it.
Oh, for sure.
Can I ask? Do you guys feel that that maybe Marvel should fire someone over this?
No, he's fired.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he lost his job.
I think something like that, right or wrong, like you almost are forced to in that because of the publicity of it. And like
negative, but
I was happy though to see, like I follow a lot of, comic book geeks online who like are working in the industry, and it was nice to see the pushback of them being like, hey, it doesn't matter like who you're hating on, because it's a very like liberal group, right? We can all probably agree on that.
Always,
but like I'm glad that they're just like, dude, who whatever hate you're spreading has no point in comics. Like that's a perfect way to end your career. And I appreciate it. I think I saw Alex Garner retweeted something like that. So
it's definitely like, I mean, that's why I'm part of this community, is because I'm a huge fucking weirdo, and like, you know, it's just, but like the community accepts people of all walks of life, you know, whether you're just like some normal business lawyer or whether you're some like tatted up left wing weirdo like me, or, you know, everything far and in between, you know. So it's good to see the community sort of surrounding and backing Marvel as a whole's decision on that, because they are a big corporation. So it's nice to see they have good values.
And I don't know. I was going to read some tweets. I don't know if I will, though. I think one of my favorite ones from this is from or about the whole thing is Rico. I'm trying to think. I think illustrated Spider-Gwen, like when they first introduced her. And he just said, if this crap leads me to not being permitted to stick fake bands and pun business names in the background of books I color, I'm going to be sad.
Yeah, but that's totally... I mean, it's a political statement versus like making a joke.
Yeah,
you know, like that's
level.
We're talking about like people getting killed and stuff.
I think it would be interesting, though, to see how that affects some of that stuff.
Now,
just to see if they do kind of limit like some of that freedom, maybe.
And so there's a story here. I don't know if you saw it. It kind of piggybacks. I know you have some other stuff, but I just wanted to mention it quick because I'd read earlier this week that a Marvel executive, he got in some trouble for saying that emphasis on diversity may have alienated readers and led to a decrease in sales. So it's been a bad week, like PR wise for Marvel and that. Like,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a big one. I read,
you know, and I would encourage people to go and read what he said, and like
G. Willow Wilson actually had a really good response to that as well.
And see, I really haven't followed it, because if he's saying like we've oversaturated our market, you know, like that's one thing, and I don't know if that's what he's getting at or not, or if he's just like, you know, being an old white guy and like.
Well, he's referencing the sales numbers. He's not even referencing like any survey.
Yeah, he was going after the numbers, basically saying like, okay, when we
like our readership
launched
isn't...
these didn't do as well as we thought they would do, and so, you know, he tied that to the negativity of it. Like, we're not making any money off these, so we're not doing this anymore. And you know, I think it was the way he responded. He could have said it differently, but he made it sound really negative and made it sound like, this is why we don't do this. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And especially just in today's climate and with the other stuff that was surrounding Marvel this week, it was just kind of like, man.
How about this? How about bad writing is the reason that your sales numbers are like just
because that's the thing. A good story is a good story, right?
And like I think a big argument I found too is just that they haven't really been marketing very well the diversity, and so like, you know, the people that they're trying to appeal to like don't even know it's happening, kind of thing yet, or at least it's not been going on long enough that they're willing to come back.
Cool. So you got any other news for us, Dex?
The other thing I wanted to bring up, which is just more of an exciting thing for comics, is that there's an indie publisher, Alterna Comics. If you listened to my interview last week, I kind of brought it up then too, but I don't know how it came up in the interview. It just did. But Alterna Comics is starting to do newsprint comics again. So single issue. Nice. They just recently, they're in Diamond, so you can go and encourage your store to order these comics, I believe. But I think they're reprinting a bunch of number ones that they have been doing in the past. Nice. It's not like a huge publisher, but I know they've had like an indie movie made from one of their indie comics, so that's kind of cool. But because it's newsprint, it's going to bring the cost of the comics back down to $1, maybe $2.
That's dope. I'm
super hoping that this somehow catches on to Marvel and DC.
Yeah, I know, right?
Which is interesting. It's an interesting thought too, because I listened to an interview of the CEO of this company, and he brought up that like the interviewer brought up the concern of like aren't the comics going to get more damaged more easily? And he's like, you know, with the way the comics are now, they're printed on such nice material that like it's hard to find a comic that like for trading or selling that's not below a 9.0.
Yeah.
Like, and so like if anything, it's actually going to make people want to buy his comics more, because it's going to be harder to find a one that's in good condition.
Yeah. It's not like, because in the 90s comics in the 90s basically stopped going up in value because they started printing on nice paper, and they started printing just a shit ton of comics.
Yeah.
And that,
and all these variant covers and junk like that.
They used to be like a commodity, you know. It was like, oh, we had a limited print run of this, and now it's an antique and it's worth a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Now it's like they printed fucking like millions of these things, so there's no like, I can go out and buy a number one, and you know, maybe it'll be worth like, I don't know, $50 best case scenario if a good Batman movie comes out and I have a Batman number one. But
you're right. I want to get into my friend Chris's dad's vault. He passed away years ago, and his mom and his family he had stacks and stacks like up to your chest of comic books, all in plastic Conans and stuff.
Oh, nice.
70s and stuff.
Nice.
I just want to go in there and roll around.
I know, right? Yeah. I love the smell of an old comic.
Yeah.
If you just open a bagging board on an antique comic, it just has this musty. It's just great.
His mom is just sitting on that. She doesn't know what to do with it because she doesn't like that stuff. She just keeps it.
You can send it to Manda.
Yeah. Please talk to me.
Just wait till you have some terrible thing happen where you need thousands of dollars to get yourself out.
And there is.
That's what I do. So
we snuck in there once when we were younger, and he was so pissed at us.
Oh, no.
I want to get a look at that again.
It's nice that he's taking care of them. Andrew, did you have any other news for us?
Yeah, I'll just be real quick with it. So it looks like Mike Mignola is coming back to the world of comics, and so he's got a new book that it looks like he's writing, and he's teaming up with artist Warwick Johnson Codwell, who was on Helena Crash. I'm not familiar with it. Anyway, the new title looks like it's going to be called Mr. Higgins Comes Home, and it looks like it's some sort of vampire book, something in that era or something. So anyway, that's something to look forward to after our kind of horrible news before. But and then a couple other things. TMNT 2D is coming back to Nickelodeon. I just read this in the news. So you animation 2D geeks are going to look forward to that. And then also in the news, Image in the news, I didn't know if you all saw this, that Invincible is going to become a movie. It looks like Seth Rogen is going to produce. Oh, we talked about this, right? Yeah.
Not on the show. No.
Not on the show, but in our text.
He's just producing it, which makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Well, he's a great producer. I mean, he produced Preacher.
Yeah.
I mean, he say what you will about the guy's movies, but he knows how to make a movie or a TV show.
Well, he knows how to back it, as long as he's not in front.
Well, and cast it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think is it Ryan Stegman who's the artist on Invincible, or Ryan Otley or somebody, one of the Ryans, I think. Anyway, the art on it is incredible. So I've kind of kept up with just the artwork and saw that. So
definitely going to be a graphic novel that we cover at some point.
Yeah,
because it's up
Invincible?
there.
I've been wanting to. So
this is really nice, doing the one graphic novel a week thing, because there's tons of ones that I want to read and I never find the time to. So this kind of forces me to.
Yeah.
So it's good. We don't have a graphic novel this week. What's up, Dix?
Oh, sorry. Invincible, the creators are Robert Kirkman and Cory Walker.
Yeah, Robert Kirkman was the writer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the creator of Walking Dead, too. So,
Yeah.
I have read a couple Invincible books. I think I have number 1 laying around somewhere, but in a bag and a board. So, someone mentioned a tweet. This has nothing to do with nerd comic book or anything, but one of the guys from Jersey Shore is looking at jail time for a tax evasion, and someone made a tweet that I thought was just really funny. It said Jim Tan laundering.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that.
I had to bring it up. No relation, just comedy gold. Okay. All right, so books this week. Let's talk about some comic books.
Yeah,
because that was good. I like doing news. That's a good thing.
Oh,
to
a
do.
lot happened this week.
Yeah, a lot did happen.
Yeah,
Holy shit, man! Wow. All right, so what do you guys like? What's your favorite book of the week? What should we do?
Mine
first?
favorght was Black Cloud.
Yeah,
I'm gonna piggyback on.
I didn't understand what was going on.
So maybe my sort of pitch on it will help a little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, and before I do this, I got the last one from Mayhem Comics, and the guy told me that people were in there buying 7 copies. I guess there are comic scalping websites that'll tell you what comics you should buy to scalp in the future, that could be worth a lot. So this was one that I guess people were in there buying 6 copies of because they may be worth more in the future.
What?
That's so we need to.
Glad I got one.
Yeah. So Black Cloud number 1.
Maybe we'll give it away on the show.
Yeah. No. I'm holding on to that one. So
well, I got a copy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
It'll be gold later.
So story on this one is by Jason Latour, which he created Spider-Gwen. He's wonderful. I met him at Planet
Southern
Comic.
Bastards.
Yep, he's awesome. And Ivan Brandon also wrote the story. Art by Greg Hinkle. So there's a world above our world, and it's filled with talking animals, but not the Dr. Dolittle talking animals, more along the lines of Chronicles of Narnia type talking animals. Zelda is a girl who was born in this fantasy. She was born in this fantasy world, bringing normal humans in and out of it. She uses this skill to make a living, charging people to go back and forth between the worlds, but she's also on the run from something. What could it be? We don't know. Find out in this issue, but we don't find out in this issue, but I'm definitely hooked for future issues. So she's from this fantasy world. She was born there. I didn't get that from the book. I read that in a synopsis on Comixology.
I was trying to figure out how you knew that because it was not clear what was going on.
Yeah, I feel like they were trying to say that in the beginning, but I didn't understand because they were talking about story.
Yeah, and I thought maybe she was from like a different race of people, kind of like a wizard or something.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
But it makes a lot more sense that she's like from this alternate reality.
Yeah,
it's kind of like an ether thing going on.
I wish
a little bit. Yeah,
I wish in the beginning they had made something a bit more clear on certain things,
like just a flat out statement of what was going on.
It was like
I don't know.
They were doing like a cryptic statement that like was kind of cool. Like it felt like I should be thinking really deep, but I just wasn't ready for it. You know?
Yeah. Sure. I don't know. It was definitely. I feel like the pitch from the writer on this didn't set it up in the most eloquent way, but I do think there's a good story in here. I just think it was maybe executed a little clumsily.
It's going to take a couple more issues, I think, for sure.
Definitely not one that hands you everything on a silver platter. I read it twice before I fully understood what was going on. But yeah, Zelda's cool, man. I like her. She's kind of like this hobo chick, sort of, who like rips people off, and I always like that sort of aspect of characters. You know how she's ripping people off. I liked how
she like stole a phone, right?
She stole the guy's phone, and he's like, "Well, you do this every day. Why do you do it? Why are you always doing this to me?" Yeah,
stealing the money
I think so. I want to give a shout out to Matt Wilson. He's the colorist on this, and he's another artist that I follow.
Great colors.
But I love there's this back and forth between black and white and color, and it's something specific in this world too, this alternate world. And anyway, it's
like
it's pretty
City noir type thing going on.
Yeah. But like, what is the deal though with the color? Is that explained at all? Like, she's in color. There's this like.
But she can also turn people in color, or like, because like she poured a drink on somebody and it like turned him partially not colored.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, he was colored before that, and when it turned him gray. So
wherever
like, half
the
his face
touch.
is gray. Yeah. But she was pouring like colored drinks for people. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it may just be this sort of fantastical ability that she has to go between the two worlds, and the fantasy world is more of a black and white world, but she has elements of the other world in her. So,
and she. Oh, sorry. I forgot what I was gonna say.
And. Like money was a huge thing in this too, where like she basically takes people to this like fantasy world and in
as
order
if it's
to
a drug almost.
As if it's a drug, but she's like the only reason she does it, we find out, is to like get more money, which I didn't understand. Like they didn't really. Well,
there's something where like she can't stay in the other world for too long because there's like a monster of some sort that she's afraid of. Which I'm wondering if that's what that whole. So at the very beginning, I forgot it was there. There's like this weird like it looks like a bunch of cavemen, and then they all. It looks like they get wiped out by this giant like chupacabra looking thing. That's what it looks like. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know
how else to describe
chupacabra.
That. It's just like a giant, like werewolfy dog chupacabra. And so I'm wondering if like maybe that's what it is that she's afraid of in that dream world or whatever
but
it is.
It makes me think it's a person. Maybe he can transform because like at one point when she's talking to the guy that she brings into the other world with her, they're like having a moment where he thinks she's going to kiss him, then like. All of a sudden, she's like, "We have to go. The rain's coming." Like it's always this rain.
It has something to do with the rain
that triggers. Like this is a warning sign that the thing or the person's coming. And so then they show like this figure with like a hoodie or something standing there in the dark, and then they run off and go to a couple of doors, and it's like, okay.
Oh, I don't think I saw the hoodie.
So like, does he transform, or is he like some kind of a beast that's coming, like some kind of dream catcher kind of monster thing or something? I don't know.
Yeah, that was another question I had about him too. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that question. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of questions raised in this issue. Right. But I don't know.
Or some other guy who can jump between worlds too, and he's aware of her. And you know what I mean?
Are you guys hooked on it, or is it too confusing for you? Where like if you had just walked into a comic shop and paid money for this thing, would you be hooked on like buying another issue in a month?
No,
I'm interested.
I would.
But it definitely needs to answer some questions for me because it's a little too ambiguous in parts of it to draw me in all the way.
For me, it was a case of like, you can't judge the book by its cover because this cover is freaking sick. I love the cover.
It doesn't have much to do with what's going on inside.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the cover is amazing. The book is a little lackluster.
There's like a lightning sword that she's holding. Never uses it in the book. Like, granted, she's in color, but it's like what she wears in the real world with the black and white background.
She has like her joggers on. She's ready to go.
Yeah, like it just... I don't know. That didn't happen. Which I'm assuming she gets the sword later on in the story or something.
Yeah, it's definitely like something
foreshadowing.
I expected a little more from it. I think I'm definitely gonna I'm gonna give it at least one more issue before I drop it.
This is one I felt like too would be better in a volume.
Right.
Like I can read multiples. I can get more of that.
Yeah.
And trade waiters.
I was gonna say a volume would have been nice because we got cut off with all these questions. Where had we continued to read the volume, we probably would have answered those in the very next issue or the one after that. So you can kind of keep going. Like, oh, that's what that was. But,
which I mean, I'll keep reading it, and the only reason why is because Jason Latour's name's on it.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why the scalping sites were so adamant on it. Is because this is, I think, his first creator-owned book that he's written.
No, Southern Bastards.
Oh, Southern.
Oh no. Sorry, that he does the art on that. That's actually Jason Aaron's book.
Yeah,
I mean they co-write it a little bit, but but I think it might be.
Yeah. So all right. So star rating out of this. Let's do 1 to 5 stars this week.
1 to 5.
Yeah, I know. I'm cracking down on you guys,
making all these changes.
I know.
Get this down to quarter
can't give it a fucking 5 now.
No, straight up 1 to 5. No quarter stars. Just straight up.
No quarters. No half stars.
No half stars.
Let's do half stars too. We can do half stars.
I do 2.5.
2.5. Yeah, so you're giving it a 50%, aka an F, is what you're
more or less.
50,
He's walking out.
And it's just because, like, if if I had just blindly bought this book for the cover, not knowing anything about it, I would have been kind of upset.
Be a little salty about it.
Okay, cool. How
All
about
the
you,
flavors
Mondo?
you could be, you choose to be salty.
Yep.
Fair enough.
I cure your meat. Wait, that sounded wrong.
Wait.
Whoa.
That's what salt does. That's what salt does.
Pump the brakes here.
It's a generous offer that I must
I
decline.
retract what I just said, though.
It's a generous offer that I
I need
must
to
decline.
think before I talk.
As I was saying about my stars, I don't know. I was probably going to give Don't go. I'm going to go away with the 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
It wasn't horrible. It just it's the ambiguous.
Yeah.
It's just ambiguous in certain parts that kind of got me. So
Not bad, not good.
Yeah,
just kinda middle
I'm
of the road.
interested.
Well, and that's the
Take me
tough
somewhere.
thing I think about indie books is that you don't know the rules of the world. So like
Exactly.
you don't. I mean, it's the charm, but it's also the like, what the hell? Like I don't know why this can happen, sort of thing. Like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
It could be a slow burn for all we know, and then we all love it.
That's
Or
Yeah.
but other books will hit us over the head with that awesomeness off the bat.
And we've
It's
had
like,
a couple.
holy shit.
We've had a couple books go the opposite direction too, where like
Right,
it started off gold and then petered down.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
So we'll see. I mean,
I
it
agree.
could be one of those ones we all loved later on. I don't know.
It could be. Yeah.
I'd give it a 3.5 just because I liked it for the art alone. It's
The
worth
art is
picking
good.
up.
The art
and,
is good. That's what I'm saying.
and I think that if eventually it'll be good
Okay,
series.
There we go.
I'm with Mondo on this one, 3. Yeah, we're typically Mondo and I are right about at the same level most weeks. So yeah, 3 stars
Between us, it's a solid 3. It seems.
Yeah,
like.
it seems like just between all of us. So yeah, all right, good deal. Definitely worth your time if you're into that sort of like weird. I think if you're. I don't know, man. I don't even know what to say. Like, if you're into, like,
I'd say just fantasy
in
or magic
general.
or like
Yeah.
something
It's a
like
good
that.
fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right,
It's like a modern fantasy, let's say.
So we'll jump on to a book that I really wasn't a fan of, but we'll cover it. Mighty Man #1. Story Eric Larson, art Nikos Koutsis. A little girl named Betty Bradford has the ability to change herself into Mighty Man, a cape-wearing superhero. In issue 1, we see her train with other heroes like Mr. Super Patriot, worst name ever, and Savage Dragon, which I didn't realize this was part of the set.
Savage Dragon.
I had.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's his son,
Why, Mister?
Okay, but he... Okay.
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah.
it's in the same universe as Savage Dragon. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's at the back of the book.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't.
Not really a fan of this one. I love superhero stories. I'm one of the biggest Batman fans in the world. I love it. Well, I don't know if I can say that, but that being said, just the way they handled this one, I feel like they broke it up into 3 issues inside of one issue, which it's one comic book issue is a really that's just enough to fit in a good story. That's like the episode of a 30-minute TV show.
Yeah.
So breaking that up into 3 parts,
it's kind of a montage of a comic.
Yeah, it's almost like it's so low impact that it's just like I'm just not having it. I don't like the dynamic of. I love Shazam and the way that this little boy turns into a big, powerful boy.
I was going to bring that up, yeah.
I like Black Hammer, where this little girl, stays a little girl, but the dynamic of changing her sex from a girl to a man just seems kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if maybe there's some, transgender issues
That's what I was
trying
wondering.
to address there. If so... I'm not against that inherently, but I just they just didn't do it in the way that followed through for me.
Well, the character has some history. It's been going on apparently. From what I understand, this isn't really a number 1. It's just a number 1 for this little girl turning into.
There were previous people.
Yeah, Betty Bradford's mother was the previous Mr. or Mighty Man.
So was it always a woman?
No, because before that, It sounds like Mighty Man, the dude died in front of her, and it got transferred to the mom.
That's what
and
it
then
was.
through birth, the mom transferred it to the girl.
I remember now.
Yeah,
because comics. So yeah.
Well, yeah.
The part that I did enjoy, and it kind of caught me off guard at first until I realized what was fully happening, was when they were fighting in the beginning of the book, and she's like, "No fair, I wasn't ready," and all this kind of stuff. I was like, why is he talking like this?
I was thinking that same thing. I'm like,
Oh, whiny.
Like this big bulky dude.
And they did
I
this
didn't realize
thing
this little girl's personality coming through.
Yeah.
Well, and they did that thing 4 times where it was like, "Hey, no fair, I wasn't ready," and then she comes back with a big move. That same thing happened 4 times in this book, and it's
it didn't
okay,
happen
it was kind of funny the first time. It's definitely not funny the second, third, or fourth time.
They use it too much.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like you said too, bringing up Shazam. I think the main difference between why I didn't like this and why I like Shazam is that what's his face? Who the little boy? What is his name?
Billy Batson.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, the name similarity is interesting.
Betty Bradford.
But anyway, with Billy, he's a little bit older. And so his personality isn't so grating.
He's like a teenager. Isn't he?
Yeah.
this girl's
13
7.
or 12.
Yeah, and so her personality, which is fine for a 7-year-old, but it's just kind of weird to see a grown-up man acting that way.
Like a 7-year-old girl. Seeing a grown-up man act like a little boy is that's basically like watching a movie about me. But, it's kind of comedic because you see this big, hulking, muscular man
and that's
act
where
like
I thought
a
it was going to
little boy.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, the transgender thing mixed with the child.
I don't think it would have been as bad if they'd made her older.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Well, that's what I
even
meant.
Even 12 or something like that, or 10
But
or
that-
11.
Which is what Billy Batson is.
Yeah.
That was I think the main difficulty that I had with this book was who is this for? Who did you write this book for? Who does this connect with?
Well,
That's a good question.
it's the people who are already invested in this
Savage-
world.
But
the
I-
whole Savage Dragon
But
world.
and that was the weird thing because I didn't know he was in this, and so I'm reading this book, and then it's boom, Savage Dragon. And I was like, what?
He just pops up.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I
He's
like
just-
Savage Dragon. I thought there's gonna be more of him, and
Yeah.
but
He just pops in and says hello and walks away.
Yeah.
well, and it's on purpose, horrible name, Mr. Patriot Man, and just these
Such bad
super
names. Patriot Man.
or whatever it is,
Yeah, I don't know. It's so tongue in cheek that it's just boo.
And it's when people talk in baby voices, to be cute, it just rubs me the wrong way,
Yeah.
and I felt like this book was doing it the whole time, kind of. So.
I also wasn't a fan of the art either.
Oh,
It's
really?
So it's very traditional image.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I really liked the art because it
very
gave me
90s.
that. It gave me that nostalgia
There you
'90s
go.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
it looks like
yeah.
it was done with a crow quill or something like that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess it does have that '90s feel. It just, I don't know, man.
Well, that's
Maybe it's
just-
because the story was rubbing me the wrong way. I don't.
Well, there really wasn't a story. It's just an origin for the character.
Yeah, but not to me, not an appealing one.
Yeah,
so.
No.
For me personally, as after I read it, it didn't make me feel anything.
No.
I was just kind of
Yeah, I was just
Well,
like,
that's
okay.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not to
Yeah.
be overly negative, but
Yeah.
it's some books make you feel oh that really sucked, or you read it and it's oh that was really awesome. This one was kind of and that's done.
whatever.
On to the
Okay.
next one.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It
It's
didn't do anything to me at all. Either way, which
It's like empty calories right there.
more or less.
All right, star ratings. What do you think, Dex?
1.5.
Cool. Mondo.
Good God, man.
It's out of 5.
It's all good. I'm not far off, I guess. I'll probably say maybe a 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
2.5.
I'm like 1.5.
Yeah.
And only because I like the art. Like otherwise I'd just give it a 0.
Yeah.
So we got 1.5, 1 and a 2.
I'm at 2 as well. Yeah, that's and I don't think you should buy the book personally. I'm sorry. I think there's better stuff out right now. That if you have like a $25 pull list that you keep or something, definitely don't waste it on this. That's just my opinion. Sorry, don't mean to talk trash. Just not something.
Mr. Patriot Man's name alone.
Yeah,
should make you
that's
not want this and his ponytail.
Even like the title itself, like Mighty Man. I'm like,
It just sounds.
But if you're into that '90s image style stuff, maybe you like this a little more. I don't know.
I think so. I think if you're into that '90s art, you dig it.
Yeah. I think it's
the
maybe
art
made
anyway.
for that audience that likes the Savage Dragon universe and that's keeping up on it and stuff. But
well, and I'd like to say, if this is a comic that you got into, please message us.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know what you think about
if we're
it.
way off base here, definitely, man. I mean, that's just our preference. I'll never say. I don't know. I don't want to say it's bad. It's just definitely not my bag per se. So
yeah.
Moving on though, keep things a little more positive. We can talk about something that I liked. That I liked a lot, and I've been a really big fan of, is Extremity #2.
Yeah.
Story and art on this one is done by Daniel Warren Johnson. So Thea was a wonderful artist and illustrator, girl after my own heart, but her hand was taken by the Paznina warlords over a turf battle. Her family's out for revenge and even took their first steps towards it in issue #1. In issue #2, Thea's family finds an unexpected ally while they're trying to like make ends meet and scrounge for junk and stuff. This new ally was built to kill, but his memories were lost, and now he's on Thea's family's side. Will this be enough to help them in their battle against the Paznina warlords? Find out in issue #2 of Extremity. So, what did you guys think about this one?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought very Star Wars at times.
I watched Rogue One this weekend, so maybe yeah.
What'd you think?
Nice.
I enjoyed it. I don't know. I kind of took a little break in like the middle of the movie, but I came back for like kind of the ending of it, and I thought it was really well done. It was a movie that I wasn't super stoked about, like going into, but
yeah,
I watched it again, half of it this morning while I was getting some stuff ready for this and everything. But
I just watched all the special features and watching the making of Princess Leia, and
that was dope.
Yeah, man, like
really
just
cool.
watching those artists work on like the same Wacom tablet that I have, you know, it's like man, I would give to be in that room.
I wonder if they'll do that for the upcoming episode 8.
Dude,
no, they've came out and said they will not.
They have permission from Carrie Fisher's family to at least use footage that they already have.
Yeah, but they said they will not be doing any CG.
You think they're going to kill her off? Maybe not to get off topic or anything.
I feel like they have.
They said they're not going to change the stories that they have written, and they're not going to do CG recreation. So either
so they'll have to use what footage they have.
I don't know, man. I think that Carrie Fisher may be pissed off, like they wanted her to lose a bunch of weight for The Force Awakens, and she just didn't really. She's not that type of person. Like, in the documentary about her, it's funny. Like her trainer's like telling her, "You got to stop drinking Coke," and he's like taking all the Coke out of her fridge and throwing it away, and the camera pans over, and
she
her
just,
assistant is pouring a Diet Coke for her. It's just like, well, no, but that's the thing is like he didn't want her drinking Diet Coke. But I feel like they didn't include her in Force Awakens a lot either. Like she was just this token side character. So I feel like they were kind of working her out. I mean, it's about the new characters anyway. But getting back to Extremity, we got off here. The thing I thought was Star Warsy about it was the character design of this new ally that they found.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That's what I was gonna say.
Very, very like Princess Leia bounty hunter mask.
Yeah, like Boba Fettish kind of.
Yeah,
right?
Kind of made me think like Destiny. Kind of, but
I've never been into Destiny, but I'm sure
he looked very Destiny.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Well, especially just because of like the cape that he has, and
the part that did that for me, the Star Wars look for me was when the two of them were sitting on the ground, looking at the sky, and you see all like the rocks floating up there, and they're talking about the stars and how far away they are from everything.
Beautifully
rendered. That did it for me. I could just hear like the string instruments in the background, like quietly playing while they're talking amongst themselves. Like real quiet, like
hum that to yourself. why you read it.
Yeah.
Hey man,
No,
whatever gets you to it.
It was definitely nice though to have that particular scene. Like, it's nice to finally have a character who doesn't know what's going on, so that there's a reason to explain what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I think in that first one, it was good, but there's a lot of questions, and so it's nice to kind of finally get like an explanation for why there's a like whatever little bit of war, at least turf war, is going on. And it's interesting, but it still brings up more questions, like what is this? Where did this robot come from, or whatever he is?
And this episode was but this book was more exposition heavy.
Yeah,
as far
I
as
agree.
conversation, which you have to have in an action movie or book or anything like that, because it sets up the next action scene.
Yeah,
you can't just beat us over the head with action constantly, or vice versa. You got to like have those moments. So this is a nice beat in this particular to kind of just bring things to a head and explain a few things before we get into more stuff.
There's something about like a cloaked mystery figure that has like ragged clothes and
so
just
cool.
looks cool.
Yeah.
Like Luke Skywalker in Jabba's palace where he's cloaked, and he just like rips his cloak off and starts beating ass. It's something about that. I don't know. It just that little thing. Just always
and I think that's
out.
the appeal for Boba Fett too. Is like his armor's all dinged up and
all
stuff,
tattered.
and you know that there's something behind
There's a
all
story
that.
there.
Yeah,
And like Rogue One, the blind dude.
Yeah.
He was such a badass.
yeah.
And he kind of had that cloak.
In the
too.
special features, they do a special feature on each of the rebels.
Yeah,
nice.
And Donnie, but they did one on Chirrut Imwe and his friend, the two guys.
yeah.
But it showed him like doing some of his own stunts and like the
So
kung fu
sick.
stuff, and it's just so they slow mo it, and just watching him do that, it's like he did all that.
If you
stuff.
don't know,
he's a solid kung
if
fu
you don't
guy.
know Donnie Yen, dude, you need
Yeah.
to get involved because he did all
I
the.
never
he did
knew him.
Check out some Ip Man movies.
Yeah.
IP Man.
Yeah.
is basically the guy who is based on Bruce Lee's master.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
And so it's like his story
Is he the-
before he trained
Is he the
Bruce
actor
Lee.
that does Ip Man? Okay.
And he would totally whoop Iron Fist's ass. I'm just
oh,
saying,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
He
yeah.
does.
Well, it's
that's
'cause
all I
it's
can think
real.
about.
In Ip Man, I think Ip Man 3, he fights Mike Tyson at one point in the movie. It's a well done fight because I was like, Mike Tyson's fighting. What?
Like
What is
Iron
this?
Mike.
Yeah, and it was,
That's awesome.
yeah, and then like there's another one where he does like these all these really fast punches, and he just punches the guy like down to the floor. Like you need to check it out. I'll send you some stuff.
Yeah,
No.
He's awesome though.
yeah. I guess him and Maze Balbus or the other one. Both of them are huge.
The Gatling gun guy?
They're very very big actors in China.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like they're superstars
They were
over
amazing.
there.
So
So
yeah, this definitely made you feel like reminded you of that stuff.
the guy with long hair, like he doesn't speak very
Yeah.
good English in real life.
Oh wow.
And at Star Wars Celebration, he was talking, and he was talking about his character on a panel, and he was like, "When that guy dies, it's just bad." And like everyone rushed over to him and was like, "Dude, you can't spoil that." Like he spoiled the fact that his character dies at Star Wars Celebration in front of a panel.
Everyone. I mean, if you went into that movie thinking that anyone survived, I don't know.
I thought that there was maybe a possibility that like one or two of them might walk away and go off on their own
Hop
path.
up somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like they've been gone for years,
Yeah, I
hiding or
suppose, I
something.
suppose.
Yeah,
But I get what you're saying too, Dex. Like
yeah, I was pretty sure everyone was going to die though.
I mean, but there's going to be a sequel, you know.
Rogue 2, yeah.
No, it's called A New Hope.
Yes, yeah.
womp womp.
I think it's been out already. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know. You probably find it on Netflix or something.
It's a new release section.
So star ratings on Extremity. I'll kick things off with star ratings.
Yep.
I'm gonna go. I don't know. I want to say 3.5.
Oh.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one.
That's lower than I expected.
I had 3.5 or 4. I don't know. Yeah, we
I was
may go
gonna
back
say,
to
yeah.
10 star rating after this episode because that's kind of tough. So
I don't know. I'd give it a solid 4, if not 4.5. If not, I mean, granted, I don't feel like a lot happened in this issue, but it's setting up a lot, and it's gotten me it's kind of reignited my excitement for this story.
and there's a map in the back too. So
Yeah, the maps are fun.
That was cool.
You got me with a map. Whenever
Yeah.
there's a map, I'm happy.
yeah. And you're like building a world. This is
Yeah.
a world that you're going to explain to us. So, Mondo.
I'll probably go with a 4. It was nice bringing the new character involved.
Yeah.
Showing and just giving a taste of this guy's power.
Yeah.
He knocks out this giant,
huge
huge
dragon
like,
thing.
Yeah, dragon-looking rhinoceros
or
thing.
maybe dinosaur thing.
He just cold clocks it once.
Those two,
and
Yeah, that's so cool.
Those two panels were great. The one where he's punching it,
Yeah.
and then the one of him standing over it.
Yeah.
Just the camera angle on that one was so cool.
So that alone got me excited. Like, okay, I mean, and they didn't need to do this just yet. I mean, as far as introducing a new character, I wasn't bored yet or anything like that. You know what I mean? And it's only the second book, so it's like, oh, well, I get a new guy already. Sweet, and he's kind of cool.
It almost feels like they're building like a Firefly type crew of like odds and ends, which I'm totally into.
Well,
that
and
show
I
now,
hope they
by
do
the way.
something like that. Keep adding good characters.
Yeah. I'm halfway through, and I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, I give it a 4. I enjoyed it a lot.
Ace, where you at?
I'd be like 3.5. I mean, I thought it was good, but it just wasn't. It didn't do anything to grab me either. Like, I thought it was just a solid story.
It's a solid book. I think it's very targeted towards, like, I don't know, if you're into Star Wars and maybe even a little Mad Max.
I could see
solid
that with the
yeah.
scavenging aspect of it. Yeah,
then you're definitely going to want to pick this one up. It's early on right now in its storytelling, so you can probably even find a number 1 at your comic shop. If you can't, buy the digital number 1, and you're set to go, man. So moving things on here, we have one last book. We are going to take a trip over to Candy Mountain with story and art by Kyle Starks. So railroad hobos are nuts. These guys will lie, cheat, and steal to make their way across the country. Some of them are out for money. Some of them are out just to make it from point A to point B. But our main protagonist, Jackson, has something a little more fantastical planned. Jackson is trying to make it to Rock Candy Mountain, which I'm assuming is exactly what it sounds like.
Has to do with a song.
Yeah, being chased by a giant devil and being joined by a failed Hollywood actor, this journey is sure to be a totally crazy ride.
Forgot that the guy was a failed Hollywood actor.
Yeah.
He's like going to work as a kill insects.
Exterminator.
Dude,
this story to me was a classic case of what I thought was a very good story, but suffered from some very bad art. Or maybe some art that just was very rudimentary.
I kept thinking to myself that this would be a great show on like AMC. They kept on like, and then have like, as far as the background music, it's like "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" type music playing in the background, like real like Southern, and just kind of twangy and stuff. And I kept hearing that in the back of my mind, and it was like, oh, this would be a good show if they did it right, because the story's not bad. The art just takes you way out of it.
Yeah, it didn't even take me out of it, because I thought. Even the panel, like the pagination and stuff, I thought was really good.
I did too.
Like I got through it really
fine,
well.
Yeah.
Like I thought I had no problem understanding what was going on. I just thought that if it were better rendered, that it would have made this. It would have enhanced the story a little more.
It doesn't fit the story. Like, I mean, if it was more, because it's very cartoony. It has a very like Nickelodeon feel to me. But then there's cussing. And the first panel, is Satan just cussing.
Yeah. I'm hoping that's Satan, too.
Well, otherwise, like, why is there a red dude with horns?
Or, like, a demon. I thought maybe a demon, but it would be great if it was, like, Satan. That would be the coolest, I don't know, to me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed everything about it, except, like I said, the lowest point for me was probably the way that it was rendered and the art of it. Yeah. But otherwise, the dialogue wasn't bad. There was a couple of sections where I kind of chuckled the way that they, were kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
I had a hard time with it.
Like the guy with the ring, the king of the hobos, or whoever he is, that owns the rail station or whatever.
Mafia,
like some of the stuff he was saying as he's cussing at his guys and stuff was kind of had me chuckling a little bit.
Yeah, like the yap guy or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. But it made it feel like the art made it feel like a webcomic to me.
Like
it
does
feel like a
very much like a webcomic. Yeah.
Which is like I could get through it, but it didn't make it feel like a big time like I feel like image books, it's like, oh my gosh, it's
a step
an image
below.
book. Yeah. It felt like something I'd pick up at a con that was just like supporting a local artist or something.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Perfect.
I don't know. I'm definitely still hooked though. I think I will continue to read it. If you like Brother, Where Art Thou? If you like old folklore type stuff, I guess maybe.
Almost like a western too, or some sort of mix in that.
I really want to see it as a show. I keep picturing.
I know, right?
You could blow that out, kind of like
an old
Walking
Zorro,
Dead style, where it can go on forever. But it's just about these railroads and these hobos, like this world you have no idea about.
Definitely,
and these guys traveling across the country and stuff, and just these different pockets of like guys that are like trying, they have history and fights and arguments and stuff, and I don't know, it could be cool, man.
Definitely. Yeah, I forget what I was gonna say. Sorry, I was gonna
take you out of it.
That. No, it's very, very well put. So where are we at with star ratings on this one?
2.5 maybe.
Okay.
I really wasn't into it. I didn't care for the dialogue.
I'll maybe
honestly.
say with the art only being the only thing that really got me out of it, which wasn't that bad, but it just wasn't my thing. I'll probably say maybe a 3.5.
And we are like always on the same. Yeah.
I'm at a 2.
Okay.
I think I'm on the Dex train. Like
I'm gonna lower mine to 2, just because you were brave enough to do it.
Yeah. I'm at a 3. I think the story is there. Personally, I think it's a really great story. I think the storyboarding is good.
That was good.
If you're out for like beautifully rendered like superhero-esque artwork, definitely not your thing. But if you're out for like just I want to read a good old-timey story, then I think it's good.
It's interesting. Because I'd never heard of Kyle Starks before, and so I was wondering how he got a book on Image. And usually there's a good reason. So I just kind of Googled his name, and the only thing that really came up was like his personal website, the Image book site for this comic, and then this Kickstarter that he did back in, I don't know when this is from, but he apparently had a comic called Kill Them All. Looks like the same art style, so he must have been the artist as well. And it says another action comic extravaganza from the Eisner-nominated creator of Sex Castle. But I mean, the Kickstarter did well. It got 23,000 out of 10,000 that they're aiming for. So I mean, so clearly he has a following, and people like his art style. That's cool. But yeah, anyway, this book just wasn't for me.
It's definitely very stylized. So, all right, cool. So next week on Indie Comic Ninja, Indie Tuesdays, we are going to be covering Rat Queens number 2, and probably number 1 and 2, because we didn't cover number 1.
That's exciting.
And I heard a lot of people talking about Rat Queens. So, Rose number 1 is a new book out by Image. 7 to Eternity number 5, and then the graphic novel we're going to do is Lobster Johnson number 1, which is part of the Mike Mignola verse.
Mignola.
Yep.
I don't know anyone who pronounces it correctly.
Takes you 3 tries.
Yes, and that's actually part of the Hellboy universe, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, cool.
So other than that, we don't really have anything else for you guys. Do you guys have anything for the listeners today?
No.
I think I covered it in the news section.
Yeah.
You guys are excitable today, man.
I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
Just happy to be a part of it.
No, that's good. All right, cool. Well, we are going to move things on to the post show. If you want to continue listening to us, we're going to be talking about what we think it takes to make a good comic book on the post show.
Speaking of the post show, I did want to mention we have a new patron.
Who's that?
Crap. See, I'm not ready.
Well, while he's pulling that up, we do have a Patreon website where you can donate to us. That's located at patreon.com/IndieComicNinja, and we have levels of donation where you can give us money, and we will give you rewards in return.
Yeah. And so,
who's our new
big
patron?
shout out. The new patron is Sam. All it says is telling me is his name is Sam. And he is I believe he has a webcomic, so you can go over to Patreon and look for him there. He has his own Patreon account.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, and
He should be listed as one of our donors.
Our site. So if you head over to our site, I'll make sure to update that donor list and a link over to his webcomic as well.
Sweet. Awesome. And you can find us anywhere on the internet, indiecomic.ninja, Indiecomic Ninja everywhere. If you want to find me on Twitter, I am at IndieComicBen. Dex, where can we find you?
I am IndieComicDex.
And Mondo?
At Nerdy Ramondo on Instagram and Twitter.
And Andrew?
And I'm at Andrew Southern on Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome. And thanks a lot, everyone. We'll see you on the post show.
Adios.
Later.